Okay. So, I think one of the first things we're going to discuss today is a couple of QBs that have been making a pretty good name for themselves to be possible MVPs. So, Delilah, we're going to start with you. You probably, um, Brock Purdy. You think he should be in the MVP conversation?
I mean, yes, at least in the conversation. He should be in the conversation. I think that what needs to happen is, I think we need to stop saying it's a test run. He was, you know what I mean? I think that is the part we should drop. I think he's proven himself to be the quarterback that San Francisco needs, So he balled out, like it was crazy. I think, I was uh it gave me 34 fantasy points. That's how good he was. So he should be at least in the conversation for sure. But I think that we need to start saying, "Oh, he needs to prove himself." That's the part that I think needs to end now. I think the man has proven himself more than enough. He should be in the conversation, but I don't know if he's really up there in the MVP race though. Uh I see kind of the same few people, but I haven't seen. He should be in the conversation though, at least, because he's carrying the San Francisco team.
Well, I think he should be up there with the ones that are being talked about, like the best in the league, because, I mean, yeah, it's only his second year in the league, but he's done a lot when he's been in there in San Francisco. And yes, some of that has to do with his head coach, Shanahan, understanding conversations you have talked about before. When you have a young quarterback, you need a good coach. You need somebody that's going to take his strengths and make them work. Now, let's also be clear here too. He's getting a lot of help. Having Christian McCaffrey, having Debo, having a Yook, that
Yep.
is definitely going to help you a lot with what you're doing. But I don't think just having those guys takes him out of the MVP conversation, especially if San Francisco keeps playing as well as they did. I mean, they took the Eagles to town. They ruffled those feathers quite a bit on that game.
Oh yeah.
So that was a beat down.
That was good. That was kind of a rematch to me. I feel like
Oh,
last year was
100%.
last year was unfair because Purdy went down with that injury. So who would have known what that Super Bowl would have looked like, right?
Mhm. I
If Purdy
agree.
hadn't left that game. So I feel like this was a rematch. This was the 49ers proving that they were the ones that should have won the NFC championship and gone to the Super Bowl.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it was a rematch of the NFC championship game last year. And he's quarterbacks are gonna have their ups and their downs. It's just the way it's gonna be. I mean, Jalen Hurts didn't look wonderful in that game. So, I mean, yeah, I agree. He should at least be in the conversation.
Mhm.
And if the 49ers make the run, then he has to be in that
Oh
conversation
yeah, for sure.
because he's done a lot of stuff this year that have turned those numbers around. All right. Second one kind of hurts me in my heart, but I think he also should be in the conversation. And you know who I'm referring to, right, Delilah?
I think so.
Mr. CJ Stroud.
Yes. For a rookie, it's been a while since we've seen a rookie come into the league ready. You know what I mean? Like just with the natural talent to
Mhm.
just look at that NFL scheme, and how the NFL is different from college and just adapt so quickly and so naturally. Like kudos to the Texans and seeing something in him and going, you know what, that's our guy. And the Texans have been through a lot. We know that, right? Like they're
Yeah.
trying to throw off a shadow that they had for a few seasons. And they're finally making good decisions, I think, in coaching, I think in players. I think now you'll have those players that wanted to leave, right? Some of the best were like, why am I here? Now you'll have that retention because they're like, okay, you got me good leadership, you got me a good coach, and you got me a young, talented quarterback that can can really show up
Mhm.
and win games. And that kid's been balling out, and I think that's really hard to see. Um, he should be in that MVP conversation. I just think as a rookie, he probably won't be given that. I could see him getting that offensive rookie of the year, like for sure. I just don't know
Mhm.
if a rookie QB the MVP, but he should definitely be in that conversation. He's earned it to me, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he's probably gonna get offensive rookie of the year, at least on the AFC side. And I think that conversation will also depend on how they do the rest of this season
Yeah.
and how they do in the playoffs. Their defense is really good. I mean, they've got a tremendous pass rush. Like on my side of the thing on Twitter and everything else, everybody's talking about how bad Russell was, but nobody's acknowledging how good
Hmm.
that defense is and what their
Yeah.
pass rush can do. So that's a conversation. I think though if they keep going along and they move up in the playoffs and they play well, then the conversation really does need to start up about what CJ Stroud had done.
Yeah.
And that's just the way those things
I
kind of
know.
roll on
They
that
really do.
side. So, I mean, the better you're doing, the better you are. And but let's also be honest too, like a lot of these defenses have not played against CJ Stroud yet.
True. Very true.
So they're not knowing, but you can I mean, as that game kinda showed me a little bit, he can be a bit of a hothead, so
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. I'm not saying he didn't have a right to react the way that he did to what was going on. I'm just saying that he's got some fire in him,
Yeah.
and he's you never know what might happen and everything. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah, I kind of agree. He's he should be in the conversation. I mean, in my opinion, and it's just with a couple of years, I think these guys are probably, and I'm going to get nailed for this with some people. I think they might be better than Josh Allen and some of those other guys that have
I
put up.
mean, no, I don't think so. I think if CJ keeps playing the way if CJ
Mhm.
is showing that level, remember, we don't, it's very rare for, rookie quarterbacks, regardless of when they're picked in the first or second round, to naturally adapt that quickly. They've done it, but we don't see it a lot. You really don't. And so,
Yeah.
kudos to that kid. I think Houston is going to create some trouble in the AFC. I agree with you. Hi, Anthony, from the road. I know you're driving home from work. Drive safely.
Hey, buddy. Yeah, and I also think what's helping CJ too, and it's something we talked about with Brock Purdy too, which is I think D'Amico Ryan is a very good fit with him, and
Hmm.
D'Amico has the right person coaching him and teaching, bringing him along and teaching him how to handle what's going on and all of that. So
Absolutely.
that yeah, so I mean, D'Amico might have been a defensive coordinator for us last year, but I think Houston might have their head coach, but
Yeah.
we'll see what happens with this year and subsequent years too. So, all right. Well, how about we go in and talk about the craziness that is known as the wild card slash in the hunt teams for the playoffs. And specifically, let's start with the number 7 team on the NFC side, which is the Packers. And is Jordan Love as bad as what people thought he was earlier this year?
I don't think
Yep.
so. I don't think so. I am a Bears fan. Everyone knows. However, I'm always really careful, and as people know, I try to be very objective. And I've always said I don't think that people were giving Jordan Love enough space and room. Like people were just already like, oh, he's awful, and he's gonna look how he's playing. And I'm like, relax. It's his first official season. He's not a rookie, but this is when he's actually in charge of the team. This is him leading. This is him a quarterback. He's got to work out those kinks. We know, they've got a good coach. And so, you know what I mean? And they know how to develop players, and they actually take time to do that and mentor. And so I do think that the people were really harsh on him in the beginning, and I said, relax. You gotta just let him work out the kinks. Green Bay is good at that. They're very good. That's what they do. They're very good at developing quarterbacks. That's quarterback university for a reason. So, like, that's I was like, give it a while. He's still learning the system officially. He's Aaron Rodgers is gone. He picked up the mantle. And very quickly, if you know Green Bay fans, they fell right behind Jordan Love. Okay. That's how you support your team.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
they like seeing that he's been winning. And believe me, because I spent a lot of time in a Green Bay Packer bar, because my significant other DJs at my buddies, which is a Green Bay Packer bar in Chicago, they're ecstatic that they're seventh right now. Okay, they're
Oh, yeah.
ecstatic, and of course, they see themselves going all the way. That's a other conversation. But hey, it's exciting though. It's exciting football. It makes for what's going to happen. Really, we got still a few more weeks, but it's some good football to keep an eye on to see who really ends up in that seventh. But right now, it is Green Bay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but this is a stat, um, that a lot of people don't know is Jordan Love's record right now is the same as what Aaron Rodgers was his first year that he played. So, I mean, if you think Aaron Rodgers was all that great, I mean, Jordan's right there too. So, I mean, that's the thing everybody forgets. They're like, "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
well, he's played for 2 years. Oh, how many years was he there?" It's like, "Yeah, but he wasn't on the field every
No,
day, every Sunday. He
exactly.
wasn't playing snaps with the first team,
Mm-hmm.
etc., and all that stuff." So, yeah, I mean, it's just kind of craziness. I think he's earned his right to stay there. He's earned the right for another year, if not more, depending on how he does. I mean, beating the Chiefs is kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
It's not like, yeah, they're not the powerhouse that they were, or that they've been in the past couple of years, where they're just able to win anything and everything. And I swear Kermit touches it and it turns to green gold. But they're still good. They're a good team, and for their and I know some people had some problems with some of the officiating in the game, but as we all know, that stuff happens everywhere.
Yes, it
So
does.
you got to overcome it and you got to win the game. So, all right. So let's see. So it's Eagles are in first, 49ers second, Lions, and then Falcons. And then we have the Cowboys in fifth place, Vikings and Packers. So in the hunt of the Rams, Seattle, Tampa, and the Saints, who do you think
Mm.
might have a chance at maybe possibly if things go their way mathematically, could possibly make it in the playoffs and may be able to maybe do a decent run?
I mean, it really depends on what the rest of the season looks like for some of these teams. I mean, we know that it's similar, but not exactly to last year, where it was Green Bay again and Seattle. They were both in the hunt last year, and we all know how that ended up. And so, you know, out of the four, if anyone would take seven from Green Bay, I think it would be Seattle. Just based
Okay.
on just the well-roundedness of the team. I just don't think, even though I know Rams are eighth, I just don't think they're the Rams that we're used to. Like, I know,
No.
I just don't see.
Losing Puka
Yeah, yeah.
losing Puka
So
hurt him really bad. So,
yeah,
yeah,
so
I kind of agree with you. Yeah,
that's kind of the only team I could see. I could see Green Bay staying where they are, honestly, going with that seventh seed. I wouldn't be surprised. They've done it before. But if someone is gonna knock them out of seven, I would say Seattle. Out of those
yeah.
four that are in the hunt.
Right, and kinda leading back into the thing that you just popped up, going back to the conversation between Aaron and Jordan. Yeah, their stats are almost exactly the same too. So, I I think that goes forward with the thing with you've got you right now have you guys the Packers have their replacement quarterback for right now until he proves otherwise. So, all right, well, let's talk about the Dante's Inferno, known as the latter part of the AFC wild card slash hunt. Because, Lord, every week this is going to change. I swear, just based on
it is
who's
for
playing
sure,
blue.
for sure.
Okay, so Dolphins are number one. So, everybody, Dolphins are finally up there.
All right,
We had the Ravens
congratulations,
into
Bobby.
Ravens are number two. Chiefs are in third, and Jacksonville is in fourth. And yeah, we will have a little conversation about that game last night. Fifth is the Steelers, sixth is the Colts, and the Browns are in seventh. And the fifth, sixth, and seventh teams all have a 7-5 record, I
Yeah,
believe. So
yeah.
literally one loss, that thing's going to switch around like nobody's business. And then in the hunt is Houston, then my team, and then the Bills. And so if any of us would get up there, so like Houston wins the tiebreaker against us. We win the tiebreaker against the Bills. We win the tiebreaker against the Browns. This team has the tiebreaker against the Steelers. So it's just going to get that
It,
thing's going to change because
it
it's
is.
all in there. So um okay, so I mean, I hope my guys can do it. They got to do a 4-1 run to be able to do it. They can only lose one more game. And so we'll see with the rest of them. I have to be honest, I don't think the Browns are going to be able to pull it out. They're just limping along.
Hmm.
And Colts, I mean, Gardner's being Gardner. So no, everybody's like, oh, he's horrible, and then he does something, and they're doing well.
Yeah, they
So
are. They are.
like,
I don't know. I
yeah,
could
they
see
lost
Houston.
the rookie.
I could see
Yeah.
Houston sneaking in there. I could see Houston
Oh.
if I know they got an injury they're worried about, but if they're the team we think they are, right? We're seeing
Mhm.
the them come to life. We're seeing
Yep.
I don't know D'Amico's as you do, but if I'm saying so like if we're seeing the coach of their future so far, and we're seeing the
Mhm.
talent of CJ and their defense, as we've said, is up there, top five, I think you said, Tina. So
Mhm.
I could see them sneaking in there and taking that seventh spot and going to the playoffs. Remember, they have one less week than the NFC because it switched, ever since the
Mhm.
NFL implemented the additional week. That doesn't go to the AFC this time.
Yep, it
So
goes to
they
the
have,
NFC then.
yeah, so they have less time to actually, get in there. But I could see Houston sneaking in or taking that away from the Browns.
Oh, I think they will definitely move up. They will be in one of the wild card positions. The other teams, it's going to depend on how they play and who they're playing.
Mm.
And the Steelers and Colts have a couple of big teams in there and a couple of ones that I think will be close. So, yeah, yeah, it's a whole mess.
Yes,
Like,
it is.
I literally feel
Yes.
like pickup sticks. Remember the pickup sticks game where you just pick them up and throw
Yes.
them, and where it lands is what happens? I
100%.
honestly think that's kinda how
Yes,
the AFC wild card slash in the hunt is
I
right now.
agree.
Um, so
I agree.
all right. Well, Handy kind of mentioned this in our little chat that we have for our show, and I think we should talk about it, is how many QBs got injured this week?
Yeah.
Like Trevor's out. Well, he'll probably be back, but he got injured. Dollar General Jesus. Oh, I always forget his name every time I see him on TV. He was the guy that played for Tampa. He
Yeah.
was the backup guy.
Yes,
The
he was.
Fitzgerald. I mean, Minshew and Fitzgerald are kind of out of the same mold. Like they're fun. It's just the way they are. So let's see. Good Lord. I am drawing a blank. Besides, well, Trevor Lawrence got injured. Um, who else got injured this week?
I
I'm
mean,
trying to
I
look
think
this
in
up.
general, right? I think that's what he
Oh,
means to say. Like in general, it's been
yeah.
like a slew of quarterback injuries. With Lawrence, though, from what I have read, it's not like what we've seen where they've been out for a season, right? Like season ending.
Yeah.
Um, So like they're thinking his prognosis is going to be more positive than everyone's
Yeah.
else's. But yeah, 100% vanilla QB injuries. I think just player injuries in general. Honestly, like people, we saw Dell from the wide receiver from Houston is injured. He's
Mhm.
out for the season with his ankle injury. So
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
so it's not
Yeah.
just QBs.
Oh, no. We're seeing them, and this is the time when the players are starting to get
Hmm.
tired. It's been a long draw, long season, things that have been lingering, just 1 foot wrong in the right way, and pop, you're gone. Or even getting hit, because or being in the piles, like, because bodies are piling on top of bodies, so you just never know how things are gonna happen, but I do have to say Houston covered with Dell being out. Yeah, he was their number 1 producer, and he was the one that was scoring a lot of stuff, but they had a couple of backups that came in, and they might be they're not tank in any way, shape, or form, but that defense is extremely stingy and opportunistic, so, um, all CJ has to do is just score them high enough to be able to beat the people they're playing, so we'll see. Yeah. God, that was it.
That's
Oh,
about
such
it.
yeah, yeah.